Good morning to everyone out there. I'm glad to invite you to the Emergency Survival Guide. My name is Mike McWilliams. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer for Reliable IT, and today we're going to show you how, give you a live hacking demo. So if you ever wondered how hackers hack, this is the webinar for you. And so I'm going to do some quick introduction. We still got quite a few people logging in. Then I'll introduce, certainly everybody kind of knows me, I think, already. Been doing this a long time, been working with the Ortho Forum, Ortho Connect for many, many years. And so we're a proud sponsor of both of them. I'd like to introduce you to Chris Peterson. Chris Peterson is a virtual CIO for us. And he spends most of his time assisting our clients in navigating the complexities of IT and cybersecurity. Chris has held various positions with 20 years of experience in IT, is a graduate of SMU Engineering, a devoted father, husband, and enthusiastic owner of 27 different reptiles and amphibians in 15 different aquariums. I was just asking him about what he feeds them, and he was sharing with me that he has over, I think it was 3,000 cockroaches in a tub. I have no idea where in his house that he keeps that secure, but again, Chris has got certainly a jungle in his house, which some of those people, some of those animals are going to participate today. So I look forward to you seeing them and so forth. Chris, again, thank you for doing this for our clients and prospects out there. I hope they enjoy it. And if you have any questions, I would like you guys to use within GoToWebinar, there's a place where you can ask questions. We've already got a couple of them lined up already. And I will, as those pop up, Chris, I'll probably just raise my hand and interrupt you when appropriate. We do like to have questions happen if you have a question, ask it, and I'll just stop them and we'll address it because I don't want it to go too far down the path on that side. And so, Chris, I'm going to go on mute for a while and let you do your thing. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Chris Peterson. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Glad everybody's here. So why don't we get started? First thing that we're going to talk about is what are the different types of hackers. So there's really three main out there. You just have your young kids who what are considered script kiddies. Those are people who just go and download scripts, hope that it works, and just to see what they can do. Recreational hackers, that's more people who are they know a little bit more, and sometimes they're disgruntled, they're a little bit, they're upset. Maybe they found out how much their neighbor is making, and they just want to kind of strike back a little bit. Sometimes it'll be even if someone has gotten let go, maybe they have a back door and they come in and they try to make some changes. The last one we have is a professional hacker, and these are the ones who actually they're getting in there. They want to get credit card information, HIPAA information, things like that. They want to knock down a site, get in and get out, and they're done. They're just not in there to just to hang out. And then some of them just like to do it for fun, so that way they can brag. And there are sites that you can do that on, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. All right. What do they want? Protected health information. That's a biggie. PII. That's another biggie that they want to get. Steal general secrets. I know we've all seen in the news where China, Russia is trying to get the information for COVID, even though a lot of the genome stuff is available for COVID, but how you make the serum is more proprietary, and you see that a lot, especially here in Houston with the consulate closing for us. Obtain passwords, that's another one. A lot of it is quick money. I mean, they gain the passwords, put it out on the dark web and sell it. Same with the credit card information. And with the passwords as well, doesn't matter if they work or not, they're still going to get some kind of money with it. And then the last one is create as much traffic as they possibly can to knock your site down. Where it really hurts some people is on banking side and healthcare side, where you have customers connecting to maybe check out records or schedule an appointment of some sort, and that site is just not available. Even though I know that in some cases that program may be another link off of yours. However, customers, creatures of habit, they save that link and they always go in to the same place. So that's what we see a lot of, and that's what they want to do. All right. A little bit of terms here, so that way when you go back, when you're talking with the IT department, you hear them talk about these different things. It comes up and you kind of know what they're talking about. Stealing passwords, getting in the system, pretty straightforward there. You know, there's not, that's pretty self-explanatory. Backdoor is basically if they find a machine, sometimes it'll be an AC HVAC machine sitting off to the side where they can still come back in and out, because a lot of HVAC companies want ports opened up on your firewall. And they want access to connect to it remotely so that way alarms go off and so on and so forth. And a lot of times that's a good weak point where people can get in. Buffer overflow, what's that? Buffer overflow is where they go and they can create scripts off of maintenance windows. So that way you see the hardware just run out of resources and the system just runs really slow. That's typically what a buffer overflow is.
Chris, one of the things that we ran into with doing a security risk assessment for a client one time, you just had mentioned HVAC companies coming in and asking for backdoors and things of that nature to the system. We were successful in finding the building automation did the exact same thing, that had used default passwords, and we're actually able to break in into the facility right after hours. And so some of those things that you don't even think about, is that really IT related or is it building related? But unfortunately it was building related and it allowed us access. So keep that in mind as you're out there assessing these.
And I would even say too, Mike, in a lot of cases with the HVAC, you'll find some of those companies who want a dedicated internet circuit away from your main one. And a lot of times you may be monitoring your main circuit, but that backup circuit for the HVAC is just wide open. So those are things to look for as well. All right, denial of service attack, that's basically flooding as much traffic as you can against either a website, or even a server, so that way that all the resources is taken up and it doesn't come back and fire up and run. Let's see, root access, pretty self-explanatory there as well too. That's getting admin rights to the whole network. One thing I always say about root access or higher permissions is that permissions should not be given out based on who you are, because like the CEO and owner doesn't necessarily need access to everything. Yes, I understand their position, but then what starts to happen is a liability starts to happen. If the FBI come in and starts to look, they're going to start saying, well, why does Tim have access? Well, he's the CEO. Does he get into this as a day-to-day? No, but you know, you can be held liable. And when hackers come in, they're targeting those higher level positions, because generally those higher level positions don't change their password all the time. Let's see, Trojan horse. Just as it is, basically you bring in a package and behind that package it opens up and it does different things. I mean, it could be ransomware, it could be crypto locker, or it could just be gathering screenshots. It could be anything along those lines. All right, so the hacking general timeline that you see, you know, you have your compromise, the exfiltration of it, bypassing network monitoring, and then by the time that IT has discovered it or even contained it, it can be weeks. Now, I understand that some companies do have intrusion detection. They do have the ability to look at alerts and things like that. But once someone gets in, I mean, it's quick. I mean, it's not something where they're just in there and they're just wandering around from system to system to system. Typically, they know exactly what they want to get. Yes, Mike.
I think one of the things also to keep in mind here, and what we're seeing in healthcare, is that the groups that have been hacked, if it's a ransomware attack, what is happening is they're gaining access and then sucking that data out. So it used to be where they would gain access and then just start encrypting everything. Okay. And so now what they're doing is they're gaining access, sucking data out, whether it be the PM or the EMR system, out of there. And then at that particular point, calling back into the facility and holding them ransom and saying, if you do not give me XYZ amount of money, then we're going to release these records. In one case, they didn't even encrypt anything. They just took the data and then ransomed it back to us. So it was a form of ransomware. So my whole point in saying is make sure and keep an eye on your bandwidth. Some of those things that you don't even think about, oh my goodness, why do I got 50 gigs of data, heading out the door, or how is that working on that side? So just keep that in mind. It was just something that recently came up, and wanted to share that.
Absolutely. All right. So hackers, you typically you have someone living they're in their mom's basement. They can be at a coffee shop. They are all powerful behind that keyboard. They're just going in, getting what they can get, posting what they can post, and putting out their triumphs. Same here with our good friend Kevin. It's the same story. They just want to get in, get out, show what accomplishments that they have, and they're moving on to the next. So with that, what we're going to do is we'll start the hacking, and we'll start the hacking demo here. So way that
Bear with me, Chris. Let me kind of set this up for everybody.
Sure.
Doing a hacking demo, typically we do that live, okay? And so you'll see a system here and a system here, and one will have a camera, which we'll explain here in a little bit, so that you can and it's being presented up behind you, and boy, it's really powerful. So in a GoToWebinar presentation, what you're going to see us do is, we kind of have to show you a little bit of the behind the scenes thing. So it's not as graceful as I would like it, but it is what it is in this COVID-19 era that we live in. But in short, what we're doing here is we're just showing you different ways on how people hack in. And one of the best ways that people hack in, and Chris will kind of go into more detail here, is through HR. Hey, I posted a job posting, and I need to see resumes, and I'm going to get those resumes via some vehicle, whether they upload it to the system, or whether it comes in through email, or it's done through some automation on the website. It's just done some way. So once it gets into that, you're going to kind of see that portion of it, and then you're going to see two different systems, and we're going to kind of show you and kind of explain it to you as we go along a little bit to make sure you understand. But you're going to see one side is the hacker waiting to hack in, and the other one is a Windows 10 desktop of our HR expert trying to hire some people and go from there. So Chris, go ahead.
Sure, no problem. So basically what I'm going to do here is I'm not necessarily going to punch through the firewall. I'm actually going to hack someone's job. And like Mike was talking about, what I mean by that is that if you're in HR, your job, one of your jobs, let's put it that way, is to open up resumes. And if you don't open up resumes, you're not doing your job. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. So, and that's going to help me get my payload over your firewall into your network. So this is just, this is a regular company. I did a screenshot from it. We blanked it out to protect the innocent here. It's not unlike any other ones. I'm going to be going into careers, all right? And then I'm just going to pick the first position there. Doesn't have to be anything. I'm going to apply online with a job. And that's the thing too, with applying online, I can just go make up an email account and I can sign in with just gibberish information because the system's going to take it. I could do a Gmail, Hotmail, SBC Global, AOL, whatever is still available out there that I can do. Or I could have an account that maybe I pulled off the dark web and I'm using that account. So, all right. And what I'm looking for is I'm looking for this right here. Please upload your resume. So this is what allows me to jump past that firewall. I'm now able to take my resume with my payload and bypass everything and get it onto get it onto a machine. All right. So bear with me just 1 second. I'm going to switch over. Okay. So this is the machine this is the hacker's machine. So that way I'm not hiding anything or not doing anything special. These are all my commands that I'm going to be putting in for everyone, so that everyone can see me actually do it. I'm not going to be running a script or anything like that. Now this other machine over here is our good friend Pinky. Now Pinky works in HR. Here he is. He likes himself a lot, so he always puts his picture here. But it's just a regular Windows 10 machine with feature release 2004
said
on.
Windows 7 2 days ago, so that's why he is enunciating the 10 very well.
Yes.
So he said, I have a Windows 7 machine, and I'm like, not in a security setting.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's
Yeah.
just fun between him and I.
At least I didn't say Windows XP or
Yeah.
something else.
We got a Windows 95 machine here that's been going great.
Working great. Tons of patches.
Yeah.
So this is his box here. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back over to the hacking machine, and we're going to get that started. Okay. There we go. And while this is coming up here just a little bit, this particular operating system, this Kali Linux, is free download out on the internet, completely free. I just went, downloaded it, pulled it right in, didn't do anything special with it. All right. Okay. Helps if the copy paste works.
No worries. Take your time on that, Chris. While we get that going, doing this sometimes always takes a little bit of time. But now you got it in listening mode and waiting for someone to click on our file.
Yep, absolutely. And
Perfect.
just to confirm that it's sitting there waiting. So now what we're going to do is we can go over here to Pinky's box, and this is the email that I sent. All right, let me blow this up. Hey, I want to be a technician, please let me join your team. Here's my resume. All right. Opens up in Word, and in this case, I have it set up just as this document's protected. Hey, here's the instructions on what you can do to unlock that. And I know you may be sitting there going, nobody is going to click enable editing. Yes, they will. You will have someone who do it. It always happens. Just like the old car salesman deal. I know the guy, he used to say, it takes me 10 people to come to me to talk about a car before I sell one. It's the same concept. Somebody will click on it. And as you can see, it's telling me exactly what to do. It's telling me, hey, enable this concept, turn this off. And then you get this error message. It says, hey, incorrect word version. Now, there would be a scenario out there in the world where someone maybe had an update. Maybe they just went from argument's sake, Office 2013 to Office 365, something along those lines. They moved through a project and they could get this. And then what's going to happen is they're going to click OK. The screen goes back, and now they're going to take that file and this resume, and they're going to take it to the next person. Then I can possibly just sit there and keep infecting over and over and over again. How can you defeat that? Training. So let's now go back over to the hacker's box. And as you can see right here, now that other machine, Pinky's box, is now called out to my system. So first things first. Yep, there we go. Let's gain control. All right, so now what we're going to do, now we're going to interact with his machine. And I'm going to push a little exploit that allows me to take control. Now I've got a foothold. Now from his box, I'll close this out. Nothing's popped up. There's no alerts going off or anything. He has no clue of what I'm doing. So let's get started. First things first, let's take an easy way. Let's take a screenshot. So there's a screenshot. Now, so that way you don't think I'm kind of doing a sleight of hand or anything like that. Let's go over here and let's open up a doc. Let's open up, go into his documents, and let's open up Pinky in his cave. So there he is. He's got his little cave house. So what we're going to do is we're going to go right back over here. No, that's up in the way. There we go. All right, we'll take another screenshot. And there it is. So I'm just sitting there taking screenshots of whatever he's doing. Could I set up a script? Sure, I could sit there and just constantly take screenshots. Not a problem after that. All right. So now that we've done some screenshots, let's see what else I can see. In this case, we're going to take a look. Now I can see what's on in his documents. Could I change directory and go to his C drive? Sure. If he had map drives, could I go to his map drives? Absolutely. I could go to his map drives if I wanted to, but in this case, we're just looking at his documents. So next, let's see if we can download something here. Let's download a file right out of here. Sure enough, I got it. Let's go take a look. Let's see what we got. And there's his friends. So I was easily able to download a file. If I wanted to download a password file, I could do that. Anything out of any of those folders, any of those drives, I could pull it down if I wanted to. So next, what we'll do here is, so now I've showed y'all we can look at directories, we can download stuff. Now I'm going to turn around and I'm going to upload a file. And I'm going to upload it and then we'll come back to it. So pretty simple. He still doesn't know anything. Let's prove that it did go. Come right over here, right into stuff. Sure enough, there it is. Now we'll come back to it and you may notice, well, Chris, that icon doesn't look right. I know it doesn't look right, but you'll also find too that a lot of users will actually, as long as it says the right name, they're just going to click on it and go. Not all of them, but you will have that. And as long as I get one person to do it, I've won. So let's see here. Let's go back over to our machine. So now the next thing that we're going to look at is keystrokes. So we've all heard about keystroke loggers. Sure enough, I can execute keystroke. So the system's sitting there ready. Let's go back over to Pinky's box.
While you're doing this for a second, Chris, there's again, just to give a little bit more, some more color to this. We had there was a group a few years back that was ransomed for their data, and the short story is that they had a third-party contractor that was compromised. That system was compromised. They installed a keylogger on there, were able to get the username and password, and then able to download the entire EMR database. You know, sucked all of it out. It was gone. Excuse me, not gone. It was just they made a copy of it. They had it. They then turned around and called the CEO of the company and said, "Hey, I've got your data." And the CEO said, "Nah, I don't believe you." So he graciously sent them 10 client records, and very quickly realized that he had his data. They did not. They ended up not certainly paying the ransom. Of course, I would never recommend that. But in any case, that is how a keylogger can, you know, take advantage of this and how it's used and so forth. You know, and again with the third party and making sure that you have. And again, we'll get to the recommendations at the end. But you know, how do you protect yourself against this? But two-factor authentication is a fantastic way.
Absolutely. All right, so in this case, we just open up a regular Word document, and I'm just gonna, and then So basically anything that I'm putting in here is it's being captured. So that also means too is if you're an administrator and you're connecting to network switches, maybe you're connecting to a medical application with a database, I'm grabbing all of those keystrokes that you're putting in, and then I can come back at a later time and get into those systems and make additional changes. So let's come back over here. And then now, let's see what we got. So as you can see, here's exactly where I put it in. Password 123, that's exactly what I typed. Here's the other password. So all that information gets captured. Here's the admin, here's the user account, everything. Now it may look like it's all jumbled up gibberish, but once you start peeling it away, all the data that you need is going to be there to get into whatever you need to. All right. So now on the user's machine, remember earlier we uploaded an employee list file. So now Pinky's still doing his job here. He's still doing his job, and let's go over here into where we uploaded it. And now, not only, boom, now we got ransomware. Now we're encrypted. So that's something else that you can look for as well too when you're protecting yourself. You know, when you're doing your training for your users, show them, you know, okay, just because it looks like it's the right name doesn't mean that's what it is. So look at that. Also, just like Mike said, with this encryption, there's different solutions out there, and you know, stay away from paying the ransom because it's never going to work the way that you think it's going to be, that they're just magically going to unlock everything. Typically they don't. They just got your money. So, all right. So let's go here. So we got that. So the next one, let's see if he's got a webcam. Sure enough, he sure does. Let's see what we can see. So what can happen here is that if he has a webcam on, hold on one second.
Again, remember I said that Chris lives in a jungle and there's all of his wonderful friends. Whenever we get on meetings with Chris, he always has this fine gentleman sitting there. I don't know, Pinky, a guy or a girl, do you know?
He's a boy.
Okay.
He's a boy. So some of the things that can happen, you know, hey, we have this webcam going. If I had the webcam activated and you walked into your data center and it's just on, even no matter how you're carrying it, I'm still going to be able to see some things. Maybe possibly I could see a door code that gets put in. I could see maybe the models. I could see almost anything. Maybe you're in a big board meeting, right, Mike? Maybe you're in a board meeting and I turn the camera on, and maybe somehow you're pointing where the presentation is, and maybe that shows your strategic plan that you don't want anyone else to see. And then now I can start to take screenshots and take it from you. So we'll let our good buddy here go back to doing what he was doing. Now, one other thing you may think of while we're doing all this, you know, Chris, you know, you have these, you know these commands. Funny enough, I pretty much, just like all other applications in the world, I typed help and I put them in. So there's help commands to help the hackers do what they need to do. So as you can see, some of these, we're not doing it here, but we could capture audio if we wanted to, turn the mic on. We could talk back if we wanted to. So there's lots of different things that they could do with your machine once they got a hold of it. And all it really takes is one machine. So.
Yeah, perfect. Well, and I know you're going to get back to the presentation here in a minute, guys, but I certainly do have a few questions here. These seem a little bit more appropriate towards a little bit towards the end on that. But if you do have any questions, just want to remind you to please put them into the questions. Rick, thank you for the comment. He said that I looked like I'm not sure which one he was talking to, the guy in the basement or the other guy, but he said that looked like a younger Mike McWilliams. So thank you, Rick. I appreciate that. But in short, if you got any questions, please put it in and we'll make sure and get it answered for you. Go ahead, Chris.
Sure. Now, kind of talked about it a little bit earlier. Was like, hey, I just downloaded these application, the Linux application myself, free right off the internet. So what I did was I pulled up Google search and I literally just typed hacking tools. This is just a small snippet on the left from Google of just the tools that are out there. And then on the right is just a small snippet of YouTube videos on exactly how to use the tools and how to do these attacks. So anybody can really learn how to do these. You know, we're talking back from our script kiddies or anybody like that can study up and figure it out. If it works, great. They've done a lot. If they haven't and it doesn't work, no problem. They just Google something else and they move right along to the next thing. And part of the goal too is once you get into a network is to start to exploit things. So patching becomes a huge thing. Firmware becomes a huge thing. Because I think recently I saw an article that after years and years, Microsoft just patched a vulnerability in DNS. How long has DNS been out? It's been out forever. If there's an exploit, it's out there. They're going to try to find it. So, especially I know with our customers, we do quarterly board reviews and we review patching and we have reporting. So please keep up with that. That's one big takeaway. Please keep up with your patching. Please keep up with firmware, and not only on your Windows side, but also on your third-party apps, your Adobe and things like that. And the last thing I would say too is that if you have an application that you really need for your business and they tell you, well, we can only run on Windows 7, let's say, we're not going to upgrade it or we're not going to do something like that. To protect your business, you need to start looking for something that can be patched, because if you're done through an examination audit or if people are trying to hack into you, they're going to learn and discover that and try to exploit it. Because no application is worth your business. It's just not. With that, I'll turn it back over to you, Mike.
Yeah, perfect. If you want to go to the next slide real quick. A lot of people ask us, what do you do? And here was a question is what is the number one thing I should do to prevent my organization from being hacked? And unfortunately, there is no one thing that you can do. It is multiple layers of defense in order to make sure that you're protected. And I would say that the basics of IT or the basics of security really lie within that kind of between 1 and 2, and I'll explain them here in a second. But people ask us like, all right, well, what are the layers of defense, or what should I have from a product perspective to take care of? Well, hey, make sure you have some spam filtering with antivirus, just basic stuff before the email gets to you. If it's spam, it's deleted. If it has a virus in it, it's deleted. Great. Then you have to have antivirus on the workstation itself. I even heard of lately, which I'll explain here in a minute, we're actually recommending 2 layers of defense in this area when it comes to antivirus. But again, having a Sophos, a Norton, a McAfee, a WebRoot type of product for antivirus. And that takes care of the stuff that's known. Certainly does have some intelligence to it. Security awareness training. It's so dang inexpensive, guys. You got to have it. It's not even an option anymore. I'm looking at 1 and 2 is they're almost not even options. Dark web scans, phishing exercises. You gotta do your. Here at Reliable, we have a couple of phishing scams that go out to our internal employees every month, and it makes sure that we stay vigilant and see the issues that are happening out there. Make sure you implement two-factor authentication. It's very easy today. And then make sure you have an on-site backup. That's layer one. You can ask yourself, do I have all these things? Ask yourself that question. Second layer of defense, and forgive me, it says line, but it's meant to say layer. The second layer of defense is BAMP. I call it backup, antivirus monitoring, and patch management. But backup now is looking at some type of a different backup that allows for some type of ransom proofing your backups. Because did you know, and we have had people that have called us that said, hey, I got ransomware. All my backups are encrypted. Bummer. That sucks. There are some known exploits when it comes to backing up and making sure that your backup is not on the same domain as your Active Directory, things of that nature. So you got to be aware of that. But also there are a couple of tools out there that state, hey, we are ransomware proof. They don't put it in writing. They just claim it. And we personally use these and have never seen an encryption of the backup. So that's good. Getting a more intelligent, really artificial intelligence antivirus tool, and looking at something that's next generation that does some really takes antivirus to the next layer. Then monitor everything. Monitor your bandwidth. Monitor your servers, your patching. Are you patching everything? These are the basics of IT. So literally, one used to be the bare minimum. Two is like, hey, some of the things nice to have. At this particular point, we're recommending to all of our clients that they go with at least 1 and 2, no options. Third layer of defense is looking at some type of SIM management tool or threat detector. SIM is certainly, you basically put some software and it monitors, and we have a security operations center that monitors it 24/7, make sure that bad stuff is not coming in and coming out. Look at getting a managed firewall. Again, most people put firewalls in and never look at them ever again. Ask your team, when's the last time you looked at the logs? When we go and talk to on-site teams, 95% of the time, they haven't looked at their firewall in that long. The fourth line of defense is you got to test and assess. You got to do it yearly. You got to have somebody come in and take a look at it from a security risk perspective and do a penetration test. Have a hacker try to break in. The last line of defense, because guess what? When all of those others, they're going to fail you at some point. They're going to fail you, meaning you didn't roll it out correctly. The antivirus said it was going to do this and it didn't do it. 0-day attacks. 0-day means that no one's seen it before. And it comes out, nothing protects you, and it encrypts. You better have a great business continuity plan, and you better have a great disaster recovery solution so that you can make sure that you have a backup somewhere off-site. We had who is now a client of ours, but call us and said, it was kind of like the same thing. Hey, our system has been encrypted and our backups are encrypted as well. There was nothing to do. I will say that we actually did pay the ransom. Reliable does have Bitcoin. That I wish I bought more of. But in any case, we did have Bitcoin. We did pay the ransom, and we did get the data back. But that's about 50%. That's when all else fails. I mean, when you've been in business for 20 years and you have nothing, there was no coming back from that. And so we spent $40,000 in Bitcoin to get their data back. In the olden days, which was like 3 years ago, we used to spend like 1,000. It has increased exponentially in what we're seeing right now with hackers. So please take this extremely serious. There is some stuff in the news right now about class action lawsuits that we're seeing. Law firms are just jumping on top of this. It's really sickening, because the problem with this, and this is the part that really stinks, if you kind of miss one thing, you're one click away from having a major catastrophe. So you got to protect yourself, protect your users, protect your shareholders. And at the bare minimum, you have to share this information with them. Let them make the decision to either do it or not, because these are not cheap. I wish they were inexpensive. They're not. But I'll tell you right now, it is way more expensive to go through a hacking exercise, and time consuming and loss of revenue and reputation and so forth. So it's something you just don't want to do. So that answers the first question, which was the number one thing you could do. Unfortunately, there's about 20, and you gotta have to do some or all of them in some cases. Chris, this is a question for you. Has COVID created an opportunity for new hacks? And if so, do you know if there's any out there?
Yes, absolutely. Some of the things that we saw once COVID hit was they moved in some cases from not just emails, but they started sending text messages out to phones, getting people to sign up for services to donate, and then now they just start charging them more and more. So phones is another one via text that's just kind of gone crazy. The other thing that I've noticed is that now, so now you've worked at the office, now the company has issued you a laptop, and you take that laptop home. Well, now you're home, and there's other people at the house too, and then now they sit down on that laptop and they begin to go to other sites outside of the business. I understand that it's business property and they shouldn't do it, but they will do it, and it does happen. And then now those machines can become compromised, and then now you're on the machine and you make a VPN connection, and now that compromised machine is now directly plugged into your network. And depending on what maybe the virus or maybe what's on it could then begin to crawl the network and start to look out for information. So you just have to kind of be a little bit more due diligent on that company machine or the machine that you use to connect to the office.
Perfect. Another question, Chris, that came in is, are most of the hackers still coming in from overseas? And well, I'll let you first answer that question because it's a two-part question.
Sure. You typically see the big ones. You see China is still out there. Now they're ramping up even more. You still see Russia, and then you also see North Korea is still out there as well too. But also now, since a lot of people are at home and here in the States, now you're starting to see the States pick up as well, but not as much as what I consider the big three.
Got it. Can we block overseas? I mean, can you just simply deny all that stuff? Is there an easy way of denying that, like through firewalls or something like that?
You can. I know China blocks a lot of our traffic inbound because the Chinese government pretty much controls everything, right? But you can, but you would have to be able to identify those IP addresses. Pretty easy to do. That's an easy Google search that can tell you where it's coming from. I know I have a customer that their IP address is out on the dark web because years ago they opened up an FTP server. And what happens is these guys go and buy that information, and they're just sitting there pounding away. And what we do is we actually just created a black hole. We made it really simple for them. We created a black hole policy. So whenever something comes in from overseas, it instantly ignores that traffic, because this customer is probably not going to do any business with someone in the Ukraine. I'd be very surprised.
Right. So those are all the questions. I'm going to give it one more half minute for anybody to post another question. If you have one, now's the time to ask Chris. And if not, we'll probably just shut it down and move on. But I did want to share with you that we take this extremely serious. It's really important that we educate our clients and prospects as best we possibly can. It is critical that you get this in front of your leadership team, that they understand the ramifications. And the best way of doing that is, and all of you will be, I recognize most of the names on here, but you'll be receiving a letter from me that is basically giving you a 20% discount on all security risk assessments for the year. And so if that's of any value, or if you already did it, great. If you haven't, one, you're required, but still there's lots of ways of that requirement. I would not do the paper one. I would make sure that you are 100% protected. And one way of doing that is to make sure that you have an outside firm take a look at things and verify that all's good. So you all have my email address, and we'll certainly send you a follow-up on this. But feel free to reach out, and we'll be happy to help out in any way we can, or just guide you. If you want to talk and you have some questions, I'm here to help as well on that side. So, Chris, you did a fantastic job. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We have no more questions, and so we're going to end the webinar. Again, this is the emergency survival guide for how hackers hack, and our resident hacker, Chris Peterson. We're not going to let you out and talk to anybody because you're a hacker apparently. So
y'all don't let me out much. No.
All right, guys, thanks for your time. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.